WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It was a rude awakening for some Clay County residents as an early morning drug roundup lands 6 people in handcuffs and facing charges tonight. Our Quentin Smith talked to Sheriff Eddie Scott about the sting operation. So, Quentin, do we know how long this drug bust has been in the works there?
Well, Andrea, the 6 suspects who were arrested today have all been under investigation for most of the year. Investigators spent 7 hours rounding up suspects and taking drugs off the streets. Now, these suspects that you see here on your screen now are facing a variety of charges, including drug possession and assault on a law enforcement officer. Sheriff Scott says multiple bags of crack cocaine were seized during this sting operation. Investigators say this is just the first phase of the roundup, and more arrests are expected.
Removing illegal narcotics from the streets is always one of our primary goals for public safety. Methamphetamine, cocaine still continues to rear its ugly head. It's just like a cancer, and it's all in all 82 counties in the state. So what we try to focus on is our bigger dealers, one that's out here that's selling to the individuals on our street corners, at the houses, or whatever. And of course we work closely with MBN and the DEA in trying to go after the big dealers, one that's actually bringing it into our state and into our communities.
The Clay County Sheriff's Office teamed up with the West Point Police Department, the Highway Patrol, the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics, and the Mississippi Department of Corrections during this drug bust. Andrea?
Quentin Smith in our studio with that story. A Starkville woman is arrested following a stabbing incident. 26-year-old Tiana Savage is charged with aggravated assault. Starkville PD say it happened Wednesday just before midnight at an apartment complex on Catherine Street. There was a male victim. He was treated for his injuries at the scene. If you know anything about this incident, call Starkville Police or Golden Triangle Crime Stoppers. Domestic violence is an issue plaguing communities around the country, including our own backyard. Victoria Bailey joins us now live in the studio with one woman's story of survival. Victoria.
It's something that many women and men suffer from silently every day. I spoke with one brave woman today who was ferociously attacked and lived to tell her story.
LaToya Lloyd is a survivor of domestic violence. In 2011, she broke up with her boyfriend to get away from the violence, but she says it was a nightmare that she couldn't get away from when one night he broke into her home.
When I opened my eyes, I was asleep. So when I opened my eyes, he was standing over me. And when I looked up at him, I didn't even have time to scream. It was just that's all could come out. And once that, he just started to beat me. He started to punch me. He broke teeth. He punched me so many times. I can't tell you how many times. I finally fell out of the bed. And when I fell out of the bed, he pulled the knife out of his sweater. And he straddled over me on the floor. And he started to stab me. And the first stab was somewhere towards my navel. And I'm just laying on the floor just thinking, this can't be happening.
Lloyd was stabbed 23 times that night by a guy she was in a relationship with for 2 years. Safe Incorporated is a shelter for anyone experiencing or knows someone dealing with domestic abuse. Community educator Lakeisha Gamble says most abusers show signs before things escalate into a life or death situation.
If your partner has controlling behaviors, if they threaten you, maybe if they're verbally abusive, if they try to isolate you from your friends and family, those would be some of the major ones that you would want to take notice of.
Statistics show 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will or have encountered domestic abuse in their lifetime. Gamble says to combat any situation, you have to be ready.
We encourage you to make a safety plan, a personal safety plan. So if you're in a situation that you need to get out of immediately, certainly we want you to make contact with maybe a family member or a friend that you could call if you needed to get away in an emergency situation.
And that's just what Lloyd did.
I called a program that my job offers, the Care Solutions line, and they helped talk me through things. My immediate family, my work family, around, Home Depot. I've been here 16 years. That was 7 years ago. We're family. We call us an orange-blooded family. make sure we take care of each other.
Lloyd believes she survived this vicious attack because God wanted her to share this message.
Don't silence domestic violence. No one knew what I was going through. Know your own worth. And if you do get into a bad situation and you think it can never be you, tell somebody. Don't be ashamed.
Now, Lloyd's abuser was charged and is doing time for that crime. Visit WCBI.com to find out more information on domestic abuse and how you can put a stop to it.
Important information there. Time now to get a first look at our forecast. We'll turn things over now to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Andrea, just a blah type day out there. A live view from downtown Columbus shows the overcast conditions, the showers out there. We are in the mid-50s in most spots. Temperatures not really moving a lot today. And still some showers here from Tupelo down to Starkville back to the east. Not as wet back to the west, but these showers will continue for the next couple of hours. The heaviest rain now off to our east. Temperatures this evening, much like where we are now, mainly 50s here. Scattered showers from time to time. Those breezy winds will continue tomorrow. Back up to around 60. A lot of cloud cover. Those showers do go away. Your weekend forecast in just a few minutes.
The city of Saltillo has applied for a water rate increase as the city prepares to switch from well water to surface water. Saltillo Alderman approved a proposal and proposed 75% rate increase on residential water bills last month. This move is to help cover the expense of the transition. Customers living more than 1 mile outside the city limits would see the biggest rate hike. Public Service Commissioner Brandon Presley says his staff has already started looking at the city's request.
We want to look and make sure what they're asking the customers to pay for is in fact needed. I don't want to have any fat in this rate increase that should not be there. So we're going to take a sharp pencil and a fine-tooth comb and go through what the city's requesting us to sign off on. And then we're going to, again, have a public hearing. I want the citizens to understand what is being asked for.
Presley has set a public hearing on the proposed rate hike for November 8th at 6 o'clock at the Saltillo Community Center. Well, some people pack up, move, and start all over once they make it to retirement. A national consumer company ranks Mississippi in the top 10 for the best places to retire in the nation. Our Jory Talley joins us in the studio with more on the ranking. Jory?
Bankrate bases its rankings on things like taxes, culture, crime rates, and community well-being. For one couple from Texas, all of those pieces came together in West Point.
Deborah Mansfield and her husband started looking for places to retire about 9 years ago while living in Houston, Texas. A couple of years later, they decided to start the next phase of life here in West Point.
We wanted to stay in the South, live in a small town, on a golf course near a university where my husband could teach. And so we had several places in mind. And the minute I walked into West Point, I knew it was going to be the one.
And even with no previous ties to Mississippi, Mansfield is blooming where she was planted.
I love to have a business in this small town and be able to walk to the drugstore, have lunch, go to my bank, go to the dry cleaner, and the dry cleaner will even deliver my clothes, and the drugstore will deliver my prescriptions. I mean, it's incredible.
West Point Main Street Director Lisa Klutz says the town is becoming popular entering their second act.
Oh, Waverly has a good community of people that have retired here. They may have been commuting to play golf throughout the years, and then they said they want to come here to retire.
And when they move here, Klutz says they bring their talents with them.
West Point was kind of on the verge of losing their identity with Bryan Foods closing, and then it's kind of like the stars aligned, and Deborah moved here, and a lot of other people were moving and retiring here, and we just kind of took the town to another level and brought back our identity.
Mansfield is responsible for over a dozen mural paintings downtown.
All right, Jory in our studio with that story. Coming up, some little ghosts and goblins get a refresher course in Halloween safety. We check in on them when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. Elementary students from across the state show off their math skills in Columbus today. The Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science hosted its Math Superstars competition. Contestants spent 4 weeks doing practice rounds. The highest scorers were selected to be part of today's competition. MSMS students create the event's math problems and design each round. The organizers say the event is important for these young students.
We focus so much on testing and rating kids according to how well they've done on testing. But the truth is some kids, they just need something more. And at MSMS, that's what we specialize in, giving something more to our students and to our community.
And there were trophies handed out to winners. Each student received a medal for being selected to compete today. Meanwhile, students at Verona Elementary got a lesson about Halloween safety from a crime-fighting K-9 and a well-known attorney. Richard Schwartz is teaming up with McGruff the crime dog to help these kids stay safe while they're out trick-or-treating. The two encourage the youngsters to carry flashlights, always go out with an adult, and to have their candy checked. The duo visits schools across Mississippi every October to share these safety tips.
In my business as a personal injury attorney, I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of kids that have been injured that should have not been injured during the Halloween period. And so we want to make sure that the parents understand the safety tips. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to teach it to the kids, and the kids are going to go ahead and teach it to the parents.
All the students today pledged to follow those safety rules, and they also got candy and a reflective bag to use on Halloween night.
For the MSU game in Starkville on Saturday evening, fair conditions around 60 at kickoff, down to around 50 by the fourth quarter. Your full forecast is next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Just a blah day here, and now this evening in downtown Tupelo, the rain showers continue. We have a bit of a breeze out there, mostly cloudy conditions, just downright nasty today relative to where we were yesterday. Still some showers lined up right along 45 from Tupelo down to Starkville and Louisville and points east. Not as wet back to the west. We've squeezed out about a 1/10 of an inch to maybe up to an inch in the northwest, and that's about the range we were advertising today. About 1/4 of an inch to about an inch. That's what the forecast was, and it looks like that's what's been transpiring today. Some heavier rain now to our southeast and to our northeast. The back edge of this shower activity is not too far away, but the clouds will hold tough tonight. Some of this mist and drizzle may continue into tomorrow. Pumpkin Palooza tomorrow evening in Starkville's looking good. Temperatures in the 50s, mostly cloudy, but no rain expected tomorrow evening as we get into some of these Halloween holiday events. Let's talk about the temperature trend. It's going to be up and down, a bit of a roller coaster ride here. There's that roller coaster here as we go throughout the next 4 days, pushing the upper 70s on Sunday, but back into the mid-60s on Saturday. So things will be improving with a little bit more sunshine. Temperatures right now, low 50s northeast, upper 50s southwest. Mainly 50s though, an easterly breeze at about 10 to 15 in some spots here. So breezy, damp, dreary, raw, nasty, whatever adjective you want to describe today, that's what we have going. Lows tonight down into the 50s, holding steady for the most part, and back into the upper 50s to low 60s tomorrow as an average about 60 here. The chance of rain about 20% primarily during the morning hours. Winds from the west at about 5 to 15. Those winds will become westerly later tonight. Mostly cloudy conditions expected though. We can't rule out some breaks, but do plan on more cloud cover than anything else. But as I mentioned, the rain should be out of here just in time for high school football. Temperatures hold in the 50s, so things not too bad for our Friday relative to what we have going on right now as the showers pull away. Some of those clouds hold tough here on our Friday. As we get into your Saturday, it looks like we'll see more and more sunshine. We are going to keep the weekend dry, mild here as we get into Sunday. Let's show you that with your AccuWeather 7-day forecast. 60 degrees on Friday, 66 Saturday, 78, wow, on Sunday. Cooler but sunny Monday and Tuesday. And right now it looks like we may see a little bit of rain by trick-or-treating time on Halloween. We'll keep you updated on that. Here's your forecast. Sports is next.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
A big opportunity for Mississippi State to right the course of its season at home against 16th ranked Texas A&M. The Aggies may be the most underrated team in college football to this point. Its 2 losses for the season being a 1-possession loss to number 2 Clemson and a loss in Tuscaloosa against number 1 Alabama. So in terms of L's, losing to the number 1 and number 2 team in the country, I guess really isn't a bad thing. So Jimber Fisher off to a hot start in Aggie land. Mississippi State defensive coordinator Bob Shoop says he's had the talent to do it and made some big comparisons with some big key players.
I think the quarterback's really good. He reminds me so much, and I've been wanting to tell someone this that would appreciate this all week, of Josh Dobbs. I mean, that's who he reminds me of. He reminds me exactly of Josh Dobbs. I had the good fortune to coach on a team with Josh in 2016, and I thought he was a really outstanding quarterback. Candidly, they have a tight end who's probably a first-round draft pick. Sternberger's the real deal. He reminds me of Zach Ertz. That's who I watch when I look at him. I think of the Eagles tight end guy. He's very, very athletic for how big he is, and he catches the ball with his hands. He makes yards after the catch. That, and he reminded him and the South Carolina guy from a year ago, Hurst. I think those two guys came to mind when I watched him.
Aggies tight end Jay Sternberger currently ranks 6th in the SEC in receiving yards. So while the Bulldogs have their challenges set for them, Jimbo Fisher says preparing for MSU's front seven gives him nightmares. Fisher says while it can be easy to get caught up in Jeffrey Simmons and Montez Sweat, they aren't the only two to worry about.
Simmons is so disruptive and athletic. Sweat's got 10 sacks, but everybody thinks of him as just a pass rusher. He's not. He's a great run player too. Can play physical, plays all that. But then you get caught up watching them, you don't realize how good the guys around them are. The other guys up front are tremendous players, 95 and 5 and 4 and all those guys. I mean, the whole crew, they rotate a ton of guys, 34. They're big, 6'5", 310, 15, 20, 25-pound guys that played a lot of football in the SEC, really good players and will play in the league.
So here's a look at the college football schedule for your Saturday. Alabama and Ole Miss on bye, so here are the big ones. The world's greatest outdoor cocktail party at 2:30 on WCBI. Number 9 Florida taking on number 7 Georgia. And then also number 12 Kentucky at Missouri. Missouri somehow a touchdown favorite in that game, even though Kentucky's ranked 12th. That game's at 3 p.m. on the SEC Network. Then Mississippi State and Texas A&M kicking off inside Davis-Wade Stadium at 6 p.m. The game will be on ESPN. And a double dose of college football on WCBI. If you're interested in the college football playoffs, if you're an Alabama fan with nothing to do, you're bored on your couch and want to see how college football playoff potentials are doing, check out Navy at Notre Dame. The game is played in San Diego. Kickoff is at 7. Just for your viewing pleasure for a Saturday. But for your viewing pleasure for tonight, JUCO football kicking off, EMCC at Northeast, number 5 Northwest at ICC. We'll have highlights of both of those games coming up at 10 right here on WCBI Sports. Also number 7 Jones at East Central and Holmes at Coahoma. We'll have all the highlights and scores and recaps coming up for you tonight at 10 right here on WCBI Sports. That's it for your sports. We'll ask your weather next.
Those showers will tend to wind down later this evening. Some could linger tomorrow morning. Andrea, by the afternoon, we should be okay. A lot of cloud cover, though. More sun this weekend, a little bit warmer Sunday versus Saturday, dry Monday, Tuesday. And there could be some wet weather by Halloween evening. We'll keep you updated on that.
Looking forward to the return of that sunshine. A lot of people will be doing Halloween things over the weekend, so that works out.
Good stuff for that, yeah.
All right, that is the news at 6 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll see you back here tonight at 9 and 10.